Hey everybody, this is Toby Yonis with the Gypsy Skiss. Stick with me a couple of seconds and we will talk about what and where warm waters halt. So I want you to know that I'm producing this video as a result of the challenge that was put out by Sean Dotson of The Flip Side, which he called the Thrill of the Chase Roundtable, in which he asked us to express our opinions on the matter of what was more important, the definition of warm waters or where they halted. Our conclusion is, and I'll tell you before I go through my presentation here, is that it is far more important to understand what warm waters are before you can have any reasonable chance of determining where they are located or where they halt. But we were at a distinct disadvantage in all of this, as we have spent the entire last search season in a variety of videos explaining to everybody what our warm waters were and where they halted. So I could have made a very short video and told you to go look at those videos, but I decided not to. What we decided to do instead was to tell you how we got there, and how we got there started in April of 2018 when Shelley and I were on a recon to the Cimarron Canyon State Park, and we ran into Ranger Steve, and Ranger Steve effectively put the kibosh on my theory that warm waters halted where special trout waters began. He said, no, warm waters halted where trout waters began, and that reduced the number of possibilities down to a very small number. So it was kind of disappointing in a way, but I had to recover, so I went right back to the research. And eventually I picked up on this, and it stuck out to me like a sore thumb and still does to this day. It was the February 4th, 2016 Mysterious Writing 6 Questions, where Jenny Kyle asked Fenn, can a little girl in India who speaks good English but only has your poem and a map of the U.S. Rocky Mountains work out where the treasure is? Fenn responds very succinctly. He says, the little girl in India cannot get closer than the first two clues, which was okay by me, since all I needed was the first two clues, and I knew after that I'd have to be boots on the ground. But that little girl in India story reminded me of a gentleman with whom I worked back in the mid-2000s in Washington, D.C. His name was Madhatter Rawat. His code name was Madhatter, and I called him Mad because he was kind of. And when you work in a skiff for 18 months with a group of people, you get to know them pretty well, and Mad was a great guy. At the time, he was TDY rather to the NSA. I was a contractor to the NSA, but we were working on the same project. He was actually an employee of the National Technical Research Organization, which is the government of India's it's like our NSA, NRO, and DARPA all combined into one organization. They feed intelligence to and analysis to the other organizations. But he had since returned to India. Now he was working for a private company, making a boatload much more money than he was when he was working for the Indian government. So I Skyped him, and we talked for a little bit, caught up on all our war stories, and talked to him about this project and explained to him what I needed help in. And basically I was asking help from, he has I think I said this, 7 children, 3 of whom were daughters. And the daughters were all teenagers now. And so I told him about this story. I told him, I'm not going to go through it because you've already heard the story. Little girl from India. I convinced him that it might be a good idea to do it. He agreed. And so he started acting as an intermediary between us and his oldest daughter, Karishma. Interestingly enough, Karishma is the Indian word for miracle. She's 17. And I want you to know that this is not actually a picture, a photograph of Karishma. This is a stock photo, and the reason we chose not to do that is because she is 17, and I prefer not to have a 17-year-old picture on the internet. So, but she was indeed the little girl in India. So we started talking, and she asked me how much time I needed. I said, I had a whole lifetime of searching ahead of me, so whatever she needed to do. Well, about a month and a half later, I get an email message, and it has a reference to the warm water fishing regulations in the state of New Mexico, and which actually surprised me because she came to that conclusion independent of any conversation that we had. The difference was that when I discovered this back in 2013, it was on the first page of the search results, the Google search results for warm waters. By the time she did it, it was on the 3rd page of the search results. And the reason was that in the time between 2013 and 2018, a lot of other content had been produced on this topic, some of which was mine because she saw my blog post. And as a matter of fact, this image comes from one of my blog posts, and it is from the 2010 New Mexico fishing rules. deal. So that was the first thing. The next thing I got from her was about a week later, and she sent me the map that's in the PDF file of the fishing regulations. And in the map, she actually put a much smaller digital arrow in there. I put a big one so that you could see it on this slide. But the arrows pointed to the same place, and that's a location almost directly north in Santa Fe. And it is in the Rocky Mountains, and it's along the border between Colorado and New Mexico. But what really makes it interesting is that on the Colorado side, it's the location of the Rio Grande National Forest, and on the New Mexico side, it is the location of the Carson National Forest, and it's a point at which the Rio de los Pinos crosses from Colorado and into New Mexico, and then as it goes through Toltec Gorge and further east, it goes back into Colorado again. So I already knew that. But that she found this through independent research. And then the last thing that she sent me was this screen cap from Google Earth of the point at which the Colorado-New Mexico border intersects the Rio de los Pinos. She gave me the precise location in terms of 5 decimal positions worth of accuracy of where that happened. And then she indicated by an arrow where I would take the canyon down. So interestingly enough, just as Fenn has predicted, the little girl in India provided the first 2 clues. And in our conversations, it was very clear that she could not have determined where warm waters halt had she not first determined what warm waters were and how they were defined. So I think that's our position on the matter, and I think we have a really good reason for it. We, of course, have spent a summer, approximately 5 recons, looking in that area, and every time we go, we feel like we're closer. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So make sure you like this video, because YouTube likes it when you like our videos. Share it with your family, friends, business associates, and social networks so that we can grow. And if you're not already a subscriber, this would be a good time to click that subscribe button, and it opens up the notification window. Click the notification bell so that you are informed when we start a live stream or when we upload another video. So let's do our outro, and interestingly enough, this outro is of the near the area in which we are searching along the Rio de los Pinos. Have a good night.